Let me ask you something personal, and I want you to really think about this for a second. When was the last time you slept through the entire night without having to get up and go to the bathroom? Not once, not twice, the whole night. Just deep, uninterrupted, restorative sleep. If you're struggling to remember the last time that happened, I want you to know you are not alone, and more importantly, you are not broken. But here's what I need you to hear right now, because this is the part that nobody is telling you. The reason you keep waking up at night might have almost nothing to do with your bladder, and almost everything to do with when, how, and what you're drinking during the day. That's what we're talking about today. And by the time this video is over, you are going to walk away with a completely different understanding of water. Something so simple, so overlooked, and so powerful that it could literally transform your sleep starting tonight. My name is Dr. Raymond Senior Wellness, and I have spent years working with patients who come to me exhausted, frustrated, and convinced that their nighttime bathroom trips are just part of getting older. They've accepted it. They've bought the night lights. Some of them have even started sleeping closer to the bathroom. And when I sit down with them and we actually dig into their daily habits, 9 times out of 10, the answer isn't surgery, it isn't medication, and it isn't some complicated intervention. It's their hydration timing. It's how they're drinking water. And once we fix that, things change dramatically. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body at night, why your bladder is waking you up, and exactly what you should be doing differently starting today. First, I want to paint you a picture of what's going on inside your body when you go to sleep. When you close your eyes and drift off, your body doesn't just shut down. It shifts into a completely different operating mode. Your brain starts consolidating memories. Your muscles begin repairing themselves. Your immune system kicks into high gear. And critically, your kidneys, those 2 bean-shaped organs sitting right below your rib cage, they change how they function. During the day, your kidneys produce urine at a fairly constant pace. But at night, your body releases a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, ADH for short, sometimes called vasopressin. And what this hormone does is remarkable. It signals your kidneys to slow down urine production. It's your body's natural way of saying, hey, we're sleeping now. Let's not fill the bladder. This is why healthy children and young adults can sleep 8-9 hours without ever needing to get up. Their ADH production is strong, their kidneys listen, and their bladder stays manageable through the night. But here's where it gets complicated. As we age, several things start to shift. ADH production can decline. The bladder itself can become less elastic. It loses some of its ability to stretch and hold. The bladder muscles can become overactive, sending urgent signals to the brain even when there's not that much urine present. And on top of all of that, conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, sleep apnea, and even heart issues can all contribute to increased nighttime urination. This condition, waking up 1 or more times a night to urinate, has a medical name. It's called Nocturia. And I want to be clear, Nocturia is not just an inconvenience. Every time you wake up, you're interrupting your sleep cycle. You're pulling yourself out of deep, restorative sleep. You're increasing your risk of falls if you're getting up in the dark. You're raising your stress hormones. You're making it harder for your body to do all the healing it needs to do at night. So Nocturia is a real problem with real consequences. And hydration timing is one of the most powerful and most underused tools we have to address it. Now let's talk about the big mistake. The single most common hydration mistake I see people make, and I see it constantly, is what I call backloading their fluids. Here's what that looks like. You wake up in the morning, maybe you have a little coffee, you're busy, you're rushing, you forget to drink water. By midday, you realize you haven't had much to drink, so you have a glass. Then the afternoon comes, you're still playing catch-up. Then dinner comes, and you're drinking with your meal, maybe a glass or 2 of water. Then you're sitting on the couch in the evening and you're thirsty, so you have another glass. Then right before bed you think, I should stay hydrated, and you have 1 more glass. And then you wonder why you're up at 2 a.m. Here's the thing, Your kidneys are not magic. They cannot process a large volume of fluid instantly. When you give your body a big load of fluid in the evening, your kidneys have to work through that overnight. And that means urine production ramps up exactly when you want it to slow down. You've essentially overridden your body's natural nighttime ADH mechanism by flooding it with fluid right before sleep. This is the pattern. And breaking this pattern is where everything starts to change. So what does the right approach look like? Let me walk you through it because this is the part I really want you to absorb. The goal is to front-load your hydration, to get the majority of your daily fluid intake done earlier in the day so that by the time evening rolls around, your kidneys are winding down, not ramping up. Think of it like this. Your fluid intake should follow the same rhythm as your day. High in the morning, steady through midday, tapering off in the afternoon, and significantly reduced in the evening. Let me break that down into something really practical. When you wake up in the morning, your body is already mildly dehydrated. You just went 7 or 8 hours without drinking anything. Your cells are thirsty. Your kidneys are fresh and ready to work. Your metabolism is kicking on. This is the ideal window to drink. And when I say drink, I don't mean sip timidly at a tiny glass. I mean drink meaningfully. A full glass of water, 12 to 16 ounces, right when you wake up is one of the best things you can do for your body. This is when your kidneys are most efficient, when your digestive system is waking up, and when your cells are most receptive to rehydration. Don't waste this window. Some of my patients have told me they don't feel thirsty in the morning. I understand that, but the absence of thirst doesn't mean the absence of need. Your thirst mechanism, particularly as you age, becomes less reliable. Trust the biology, not just the feeling. Then through the late morning and midday, keep the fluid intake consistent. This is your peak window. Your kidneys are fully active. Your body is burning through water as it goes about its business. And any fluid you take in now will be processed and mostly cleared before nighttime. This is where you want to get a significant portion of your daily intake. The general recommendation you've probably heard, 8 8-ounce glasses a day, or about 2 liters. That's a reasonable target for most people, though individual needs vary based on body size, activity level, climate, and health conditions. But the key takeaway here is not just how much you drink, it's when you drink it. Aim to have consumed somewhere between half and 2/3 of your daily fluid intake by around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Then, as the afternoon progresses, start tapering. You don't need to cut off fluids completely. That would leave you dehydrated and uncomfortable. And dehydration actually has its own set of problems, including concentrated urine that can irritate the bladder. But be intentional. A glass here, maybe a small glass there. You're maintaining hydration without loading your kidneys with work they'll be doing at midnight. Now here's the number that I want you to remember. 2 to 3 hours before bed, that's your cutoff window. 2 to 3 hours. Not 10 minutes before, not 30 minutes before. 2 to 3 hours. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., try to limit fluids meaningfully after 7 or 7:30 p.m. Small sips are fine if you're genuinely thirsty, but large glasses of water, big cups of herbal tea, evening smoothies, those need to happen earlier in your evening, not right before you turn off the light. Now, some people push back on this and say, but Dr. Raymond, won't I be dehydrated by morning? And the answer is no, not if you've been hydrating well throughout the day. Your body doesn't need a constant IV drip of water. It needs consistent, well-timed hydration that respects your kidneys' natural overnight rhythm. Let's talk about the drinks that are making things worse. Because water isn't the only thing going into your body. Coffee and tea contain caffeine, which is a mild diuretic. That means it actually promotes urine production. A cup of coffee in the morning? That's fine for most people. A cup of strong black tea at 8 p.m.? That's a recipe for a midnight bathroom trip. Alcohol is another major offender. Alcohol suppresses that ADH hormone we talked about, the very hormone your body uses to slow down urine production at night. So when you drink alcohol in the evening, you're not just adding fluid volume, you're actually disabling your body's defense mechanism against nocturia. Even a glass or two of wine with dinner can have a measurable impact on nighttime urination in people who are already sensitive. I'm not here to tell you to never enjoy a glass of wine, that's your choice. But if nighttime bathroom trips are disrupting your sleep and your quality of life, the evening alcohol habit is absolutely worth examining. Carbonated beverages can also be a problem for some people. The carbonation can irritate the bladder in individuals who are already prone to bladder sensitivity. Artificially sweetened drinks, diet sodas, sugar-free flavored waters, have also been shown in some studies to irritate the bladder lining over time. And citrus juices taken in the evening can have the same effect. The bladder, especially in people with what we call overactive bladder, is incredibly sensitive to these chemical irritants. Reducing them, especially in the evening, can make a noticeable difference even independent of fluid volume. Now, I want to spend a moment on sodium because this is something most people don't connect to nighttime urination, and it absolutely should be on your radar. When you consume a high-sodium meal, salty snacks, processed foods, restaurant meals, fast food, your body retains water to dilute that sodium and bring your blood chemistry back into balance. Then, as you sleep and your blood pressure naturally drops, your kidneys process that retained water and produce urine. This is a mechanism called pressure natriuresis, and it means that a salty dinner can literally wake you up at night even if you didn't drink excessive fluids. Watch your sodium intake, especially at dinner. This doesn't mean you need to eat flavorless food. It means being mindful of processed and packaged items that are loaded with hidden sodium. Cooking at home with fresh ingredients and using herbs and spices instead of salt is genuinely protective for your sleep and your kidneys. Let me also talk about something that's very close to my heart as someone in the senior wellness space, and that's the relationship between leg swelling, what doctors call peripheral edema, and nocturia. Some people, especially those with heart issues, kidney disease, or who sit for long periods during the day, develop fluid pooling in their lower legs and ankles as the day goes on. You might notice your feet or ankles are a little puffier by evening. When you lie down at night, that fluid that's been sitting in your legs all day redistributes. It gets reabsorbed into your circulation, travels to your kidneys, and gets converted into urine. And then you're up at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. If this pattern sounds familiar, there are several strategies that can help. Elevating your legs during the afternoon and evening, propping them up on a pillow or footstool for 30 to 60 minutes can help your body reabsorb that fluid while you're still awake, so your kidneys can process it before you go to sleep. Light walking in the afternoon also helps pump fluid back through the lymphatic system. Compression stockings worn during the day and taken off a few hours before bed serve the same purpose. These are simple, non-invasive interventions that can make a meaningful difference for people dealing with this specific pattern. And speaking of lying down, let's talk about sleep position and bladder function for just a moment, because it matters more than people think. When you lie flat on your back, the pressure distribution in your abdomen changes, and for people with an overactive bladder, this can sometimes trigger urgency. Some patients find that slightly elevating the head of the bed, not dramatically, but by a few inches, reduces the frequency of nighttime urges. This also has the benefit of reducing acid reflux, if that's something you deal with. It's a small change, but sometimes the small changes are the ones that stack up to a big difference in sleep quality. Now, I want to address something that I know is on some of your minds, because I hear it from patients regularly. Some people say, "Dr. Raymond, I've tried cutting back on fluids at night, and it doesn't seem to make a difference." If that's you, I hear you. And I want you to know that Nocturia is genuinely multifactorial. Hydration timing is one of the most powerful levers we have, but it's not the only one. If you've genuinely cleaned up your hydration habits, front-loading your fluids, cutting off large drinks 2 to 3 hours before bed, reducing caffeine and alcohol in the evening, watching your sodium at dinner, and you're still getting up 2, 3, 4 times a night, then it's time to have a more thorough conversation with your doctor. There are medical conditions that can drive nocturia independently of hydration habits. Uncontrolled diabetes, sleep apnea. Yes, sleep apnea, which disrupts the body's normal hormone release and can directly increase nighttime urine production. Benign prostatic hyperplasia in men, which causes incomplete bladder emptying and frequent urges. Overactive bladder syndrome in women and men both. These are real conditions that deserve real evaluation and sometimes medical management. Hydration strategies will help, but they work best as part of a complete picture. For those of you who are managing well with lifestyle strategies, let me give you a few more tools for your toolkit. One that I particularly love recommending is what I call the 6 p.m. review. At 6 p.m., or whatever time is about 4 hours before your usual bedtime, take stock of how much you've had to drink that day. If you've hit your target, you're in great shape, and you can cruise into the evening with just small sips. If you find you're significantly behind on your hydration, make a note of that and adjust your morning and afternoon intake the next day rather than trying to catch up with a large glass of water at 9 p.m. This habit of doing a fluid inventory mid-evening is incredibly simple, but it creates awareness that most people just don't have around their hydration patterns. Another strategy that works beautifully for a lot of people is making sure they empty their bladder completely before bed. Not just once, but what some urologists call a double void. Here's what that means. You go to the bathroom right before you get into bed. Then, instead of immediately climbing under the covers, you wait about 5 minutes and go again. This second attempt often yields a little more urine that was sitting in the upper part of the bladder or hadn't fully drained, and it gives your bladder a more complete starting point for the night. It sounds almost too simple, but for many people, this alone reduces their nighttime trips by 1. I also want to touch on the role of exercise because this connects to sleep and bladder health in ways that are often overlooked. Regular physical activity, even just 30 minutes of walking most days, improves bladder muscle tone, helps manage body weight, improves cardiovascular function, which reduces fluid retention, and promotes better sleep architecture, including deeper, slow-wave sleep, where your body's ADH production is most robust. Exercise is not just good for your heart and your waistline. It is genuinely protective for your sleep quality and your bladder health. The timing of exercise matters a bit too. Vigorous exercise right before bed can be stimulating and delay sleep onset for some people. So try to finish more intense workouts at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. And finally, I want to leave you with something I tell every single one of my patients who comes to me exhausted and discouraged about their sleep. Progress is not always overnight, pun intended. When you start adjusting your hydration habits, give your body time to adapt. The first night might not be dramatically different, but after 3 nights, 5 nights, a week of consistent front-loading and thoughtful cutoffs, most people start to notice a real shift. The body is adaptive and responsive when we give it the right signals consistently. Don't judge the strategy by night 1. Give it a fair runway and track your changes. Keep a simple sleep and hydration log for 2 weeks. Write down when you had your last significant drink, whether you had any caffeine or alcohol in the evening, how many times you got up in the night, and how rested you felt in the morning. Data is powerful. It helps you identify your specific patterns and see what's working. And if you're working with a healthcare provider on this, that log is invaluable information for them to have. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Your nighttime bathroom trips are not inevitable. They are not simply the price of getting older. Your body has a sophisticated, elegant system for managing fluid at night, And in many cases, the way we're drinking during the day is directly undermining that system. Front load your fluids. Drink meaningfully in the morning and through midday. Taper in the afternoon. Stop large fluid intake 2 to 3 hours before bed. Watch the caffeine, the alcohol, the sodium, and the bladder irritants in the evening. Elevate your legs if you have swelling. Do that double void before bed. Stay consistent. Give it time. These aren't complicated strategies. They don't require a prescription or a procedure. They require awareness and intention. Two things all of us are capable of. And the payoff, a full night of deep, uninterrupted, truly restorative sleep, is absolutely worth it. I'm Dr. Raymond Senior Wellness. If this video gave you something valuable, please share it with someone you love who's struggling with this, because I can guarantee you they are not suffering alone, and they deserve to know this information. Drop a comment below and let me know how long this has been affecting you and which of these strategies you're going to try first. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we are just getting started on this channel. And I have so much more to share with you about living vibrantly, sleeping deeply, and feeling your absolute best at every age. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.